Greetings, welcome everybody. I'm Joe Benjamin, excited to be here today with another special interview for you. We are live on YouTube at the moment. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. We can't be on Facebook at the moment, but we'll run this via YouTube so that at least we can get this great content out to you. I'm excited, as always, to bring to you uh, people that are doing great things, people that have got stories to inspire you, particularly authors. As you know, we love to help authors to get their books out, their stories out without any overwhelm. So I am so excited that I can get one of the authors that we have recently worked with to get their book out, to come and share their story and talk to us. And I want you to share this broadcast. Tell somebody that we are live right now. It's going to be an interesting, exciting moment for you to get to learn from this amazing author. So I've got with me today Dr. Delroy Lingo. Good to see you, sir, and welcome.
Welcome. Good evening. Good to be with you, sir. It's a pleasure.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out to come and just have this conversation with us. I am so excited, and congratulations on your new book that you recently published.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. And that's an amazing book, which is called Cancer is Not a Death Sentence. Now, that book is available on Amazon, and it's available for you to purchase and to dig deep into it. So we're going to talk about that, but also just get to know Dr. Lingo as well, the stuff that he does, and just be inspired by his story. So why did you write this book? Why did you, of course, I know the title kind of gives it away, because the title is eye-catching. Cancer is not a death sentence. But tell us, why did you feel you had to put pen to paper?
Okay. Um, like you said, the first thing when I was told that I had cancer and I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Cancer is not a death sentence."
Uh-huh.
But through the entire process from 2019 until 2023, writing a book was not on my mind, honestly, because I was just going through the whole process and trying to process it at the same time. I know at the end of the day that I would have had a testimony that I'd love to share,
Mhm.
but not from the perspective of actually, writing a book. And then when the opportunity comes and, I keep being told, man, your story need to be told. The world need to hear your story. And I thought about it and start having interest in saying, putting it together. And I was figuring based on what I know about book, because I've had a form experience that is something that takes a long time. So I thought, and then to get everything written out. And so I saw it as a long procedure, until the Lord led me to you and we connect. And then I realized it was nothing that I thought. It was really a miracle process. And when sharing the story, the excitement, how excited you were about the story, and to be a part of making sure that it gets out there, that really inspires me. And hence comes the book. And like I said, what I heard first, "Cancer is not a death sentence," most naturally would have been the title of that
Right.
book.
And how fitting. I mean, that title is absolutely perfect.
Uh,
That book, yeah, it's the best title for that book because it draws us in. It gives us a bit of a hint as to what you're going to be talking about. But more importantly, those are the words that the Lord gave you.
yes.
Now, let's just talk a little bit about your. And by the way, you mentioned something that I was excited. And the reason why I was excited, I'll tell you that, is because it's a testimony. It's a powerful testimony. And
Yes.
I say
Yeah.
this not, I don't think we have enough powerful, real life, authentic testimonies being shared around in the world. So whenever I see an author that wants to really be, open and honest and share their testimony, it is really amazing because then once it's written, it's there for the world to see, and it becomes a testimony that is established.
Yes.
So let me just take you a step back. You um, tell us about that moment that you were diagnosed, or maybe leading up to that event. um, what was your life like before you got diagnosed, and what happened in that moment of you being told that C word?
Life before was exciting. I'm a broadcaster. I'm a producer. And so it is that my life is filled with music. I'm either on the radio, I'm working with projects, I'm hosting events all across the globe. So I'm always traveling, doing a lot of work in the music industry. So, and radio for me is something that I'm excited about from a kid. I've been inspired in that respect. My brother was involved in radio, and that also kind of gave me that kind of a push to say, you know what, he does it. I like how it sounds. And there was this broadcaster, Reverend VB. God bless his soul. He went home to be with the Lord, but he, I think, is one of the greatest broadcaster ever. And he just really had inspired me. So from
Right.
then I started mimic being him at the back of the house. And growing up, it has been something that I wanted to do. So between broadcasting and being in music, managing artists for many years, and to the point where I started just producing projects. And it was within the process of producing and traveling and all of that. When I was in Cayman for a while, I managed Love 101 there. And after a while, I figured that my time there was expired, because I'm a firm believer in that when God's timing shows up, when you make a pledge, I told God that being at the station, I would not compromise my belief and the stand. And it came to a time where I had to choose whether I'm going to compromise and stay, because I had the number one station. I had the number one program. Everything was at its peak. And at
Mm.
the peak of it, I was tested. And I said, I'm going to stand by the word. I told God that if it comes to where I'm going to have to compromise, even though I'm under a contract, I'm walking away. And that's what I did. And coming back home, getting again fully involved in music, and my health was excellent. I thank
Yeah.
God. That's one of the great blessings that I think I have growing up. And if someone should ask me if I would switch that for riches, I still would stay with good health, because there's nothing like really feeling healthy.
Feeling good, yes.
The
There's many
millionaires,
rich people that
they can't
struggle with poor health.
they can't eat a steak. Many
Mm.
millionaires, they can't sit and have a steak, and they have all the money in the world. So I think that was a great choice. And growing up, my only encounter with doctors would be like my annual checkups. And at times when I go after I reach a certain age, I was being encouraged. You gotta start do that test and make sure everything is okay. Well, because I was feeling excellent, I took it for granted.
Right.
And again, being from a Jamaican perspective, we are there's some stuff that for us as men we don't think it's cool, and which at the end of the day, when I realized it was just being ignorant, and so I didn't do the test and all of that. Then I used to do a lot of driving back in the days, and so I realized that I had developed this thing that I had to deal with. And so when I went to the doctor during one of the tests, was testing the colon, and he said doesn't like how it looks. So he did a test, and the liquid showed that something was not going right. So he said, "Have you ever done?" I said, "No, honestly." He said, "What?" He said, "No, you need to do it." So I said, okay. So I went, I did the test. And after doing the test, I realized just how insane it was not to have wanted to do it, because it's nothing near, what you are heard. And a lot of time and that's why the Bible can never be wrong. It says we suffer because of lack of
Lack of
knowledge.
knowledge.
We hear somebody say something, and without experiencing it in ourselves, we jump on the bandwagon and we say, yes,
Mhm.
ABC, when it's nothing near that. So when he did the test, he said he saw pulps, he did this and but he saw something that he wasn't sure about. So he was gonna do the scan. So one day I was on my way to the studio. I reached the studio just about to come out of my truck to enter into the studio, and my phone rang. And when I looked at it and I listened, it was the doctor. And what he said didn't give me hope. He said, "Mr. Lingo, how are you?" He said, I haven't got good news, not the one you want to hear anyhow." He said, "The test came back, and you're positive colon cancer." And I heard, as clear as I could have heard, cancer is not a death sentence.
Wow.
So I did not go through what a lot of people went through, and I thank God. The fear and all of that. As a matter of fact, it took me a while before I even mentioned it to my wife
Right.
what the result was. But I was at such a peace. And the thing is that the same day I got the news going into the studio, I spoke to the producer who is a Christian man from Africa. God bless his soul. He has passed on too. He said, "Say no more. Let's pray." And we prayed. And I felt God in the building. It's as if angels were just floating around in the studio.
Wow.
And so those things have actually kept me over the years. So the fear, I didn't go through that fear and that anxiety. I just know that I'm trusting God. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want to do a surgery. At first,
Mm.
I
You were
was
trusting God for healing. Yeah.
after healing.
Total. Yeah.
I spoke to my pastor, and he said, yes, but he said, sometime healing comes in the form of a surgery,
Right.
which is true. And so I said, okay, let me go. So I did the surgery, and everything just went well.
Wow.
Everything
So,
went well.
hey, this is amazing. I like that. Cancer is not a death
Yes.
sentence. Now, let's just unpack that a little bit, because there may be some people watching, maybe they've got a family member that has either gone through or going through this process, or maybe they're going through this process. And I encourage you to buy the book, get a copy of the book, because there's a lot of encouragement around that. There's prayers around that healing as well. So a lot of faith you're going to get from that book for healing. But tell me this, you heard that message, cancer is not a death sentence. Now, many people, the moment they hear about that diagnosis is when they just crumble and crush. But it sounded like when you just got that word from the Lord, cancer is not a death sentence. It just, so how can somebody that is either had the news, how can they keep their faith in such adversity?
Okay, well, again, and I'll be honest, one of the things that kept me was the confirmation that I got from God.
Okay.
So that kind of helped me a little bit more than maybe the average person who have never been or who have never heard that statement, or
Right.
somebody said it to them. But because of where it came from, it really meant something to me. And
Hmm.
as a person that grown up in the church and have faith in God and want to trust and believe Him, knowing that He can never lie, I
Hmm.
held on to that. Because a lot of folks, it's not the cancer that killed them. It's that the
True.
fact that they're worried about, because the name cancer spells death to most people.
Right.
And so it is that when they hear I got cancer, right away they give up. And whenever you lose the will to live, you are
Mhm.
on your way to death,
Mm.
because you have to have a will to live.
That's right.
You have a
It's
lot of
almost
people.
like you're giving your permission away, to
Yes,
say it's
yes,
okay, I can go now.
yes,
You
yes,
lose the
yes.
fight.
I've heard of situation, folks in the hospital and their loved ones is around. They call them, say, "I'm going soon," and they start saying their goodbyes. And just as they say, not long after they went, because
Right.
they reached to a place where this is it. I'm going. And there are those who, even when death shows up, they're fighting for life, fighting for life. So one of the greatest medication or help, even when you do surgery or whatever you do, is having a will to live.
Right.
And once you have a will to live and you trust God, changes and transformation. So if you're listening this time right now, maybe you were told you have cancer stage, whatever stage it is, it doesn't make a difference. As far as I'm concerned, the greater the stage, the better it is for God, because he likes the obsolete. He likes to work when men fail,
Mhm.
when there's nothing else that man can do. That is what God relies on, because there and then, it has to be God. Nobody else can get the glory. And that too, I thought was one of the process, because my testimony wouldn't have been what it is if everything came to, because I did surgeries. It didn't work. I did chemo, it didn't work. I did radiation, it didn't work. I do natural, all of these things that I didn't work. So none of them can get the glory because it didn't work. And God miraculous at the point. And he didn't heal me when I was at stage 3. He waited until stage 4 when the doctor told me there's nothing to be done. In the sense, he said, at this point, it doesn't make sense to do surgery, because it is that serious. And I can do chemo, and would have to be excessive chemo to try to see what it can do. The doctor even said at one point it would the only way would have had to cut you, then wash you out with bleach and all of that kind of stuff. That was how it was. And with all of that, though, praise be to God.
And you said, no. God is my healer.
God, yes.
And he stepped on.
When I went to the surgeon, and I said, when I changed surgeon, and I went to him, I said, let me tell you, I'm not here about the cancer. There's nothing I can do about it. All I want to do is to be able to pass my thesis, which I was having problem passing. I know I'm getting ahead of myself because I get excited when it comes.
That's okay. That's okay. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm also going to be jumping parts because we want you to buy the book. Okay, so we're not going to tell you everything.
No,
the story is in the book, all right? But I want to hit some of the high points personally for myself, because of course, I've read the book and it's amazing. There's a particular point. There's somebody here who just said, I think she's just responding to what we're talking about. Cancer does spell death to most people. I've seen it when I used to work in the hospital as a nurse. That's Melly Mel. She's actually her book is coming out very soon. Next month her book is coming out. So wow. She's a nurse and she's confirming what we're talking about. Yeah. So the incident that I was going to ask you about, Dr. Lingo, is you talk about it in the book when you were prayed for, and there's a big chair that was pulled out. Can you just talk about that story? Because I think that's a climax, isn't it, in the story?
All right. At my church, my pastor is a faith believer. And we have seen many miracles, cancers. I mean, name it. We have seen that being eradicated at our church. There was a gentleman that had AIDS, and he was just waiting for his time. And he came to church, and the Lord instruct pastor. He had instructed him for a while back to get a particular chair. That chair, I think it's white and it's covered. It's not used by anybody else. It's kept at a particular place until when the Lord instruct him. That's the only time it is taken out. Then you're asked to be seated in it, anointed and prayed for. And that young man came, and pastor pulled the chair out, have him seated in it, and anoint and pray. And when he went back, he was cured from AIDS. Wow. He's coming to church right now.
Wow.
He's still back and forth, totally cured from AIDS. So that is the power of Almighty God. So he has the chair, and every once in a while, sometime every 6 months, it all depends on when the Lord laid on his heart. Mm-hmm. And then one Sunday I was at church, and he asked them to bring the chair out, and he invited me up. And right away, that too helps build my faith, because I've seen what happens, and I know that whenever that happens, then God is about to do something miraculously. And I came, I sat in the chair, I was anointed and prayed for. And so these are areas and instances like these really help me and help my faith when I'm going through the roughest and the toughest of time. Because also you have to understand that when it comes to God, there is a time. We work with time, and he deals with eternity. So there's a set time for everything to happen. So we get the healing, then the manifestation is another process. Because by truth, we are all healed because the Bible says, by stripes we are healed. So the healing is already there, but it's for the manifestation, because that is
A process. Mhm.
God's God process, God timing. When God says you're healed, you're healed. But then it's now you
Well, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Anointed to pray. Melly says, I'll buy the book. My mother is a friend with a diagnosis of cancer. Mr. Delroy, my family is Jamaican as well. Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, oh, great. Yes, the book is available on Amazon. Please go to Amazon. It's available. Cancer is not a death sentence. I can't, yeah, we are struggling to hear you at the moment. I think your sound just went off, Dr. Delroy. Um, you might just want to come out and come back in again. Uh, are you able to hear me? I can't hear you at the moment. We have lost you. Okay. Well, apologies. We seem to be having a sound technical issue. What I'll probably recommend is if you're able to log out and log back in to the interview again, that might get your sound restored. No, we can't hear you. Can you hear me? You can't hear us. Okay, we seem to have a we seem to have a technical issue, but and somebody's just bought the book. Thank you so much, Melly Mel, for buying the book. Amazing, and we've had a bit of an issue with our sound. I think we may have to do this interview again because also we couldn't broadcast on Facebook for some reason. We are just live on YouTube at the moment. But what I'll do, I think what we'll do is let's wind this down. I'm going to encourage you guys to go to Amazon, grab the book, grab a copy of the book. It's going to be life changing, and it just doesn't have to be cancer. It may be that you have whatever ailment it is, whatever ailment it may be. I want you to get it. If you have a loved one that is ill or that needs healing, or if you need healing, that book will change your life. I'm sorry, we've had technical difficulties. We'll have to bring the interview to a close, and hopefully we can do this again. But I'm so thankful to everybody that is joining us live right now. The most important thing, if you want to hear the story and read it in detail, go to Amazon.com, get a copy of that book, and it will absolutely change your life. Thank you so much for getting in touch. And if you want to get your book out, we help people to do that. All right. So by all means, make sure you get in touch with us. We'll be very happy to help you get your book out. Let me try one more time. Dr. Lingo, can you hear me? No, I think the sound is gone for sure. All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Get that book on Amazon, Amazon.com. Cancer is not a death sentence. We'll sort our issues out. But again, thank you for joining us on this interview today. God bless.